What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react and learn about how Canadians really feel about America right now. I'm, of course, talking about the US Canada tensions that have been created by all of these tariff threats. And I mean, also some of the just disrespectful comments that have been made by Donald Trump. That hasn't helped either. And to be honest, I think most Americans really aren't thinking about this issue too deeply right now. But I think it's actually really important to hear more of the Canadian perspective about all of this. So today I want to take a look at a couple of videos here with Canadians really giving their opinion and outlook about this whole situation. So let's take a look.
We're not going to America. We're not spending our money there. It's Canada first, baby.
On social media,
Whoa.
Canadians are loud and proud about boycotting trips to the U.S.
Flights, accommodation.
Michelle Porter is
What? Really? This is a whole thing. Like this is why I think it's so good for Americans to get outside of our little American bubble and which isn't that hard to do and like when you have YouTube and the internet, like it's not that much effort, and yet it's kind of sad in my opinion how Americans really don't know about a lot of this, myself included. So Canadians are like actually boycotting the United States. Like you're not going to travel here. You're not going to come here, which, man, makes me really sad to hear. Like, I'm going to be honest, but another part of me is like, I get it. I get it. Jeez.
proud about boycotting trips to the U.S.
Flights, accommodation.
Michelle Porter is among them. She had a Florida trip for herself and 6 family members all booked. But Donald Trump's tariff threats changed everything.
Wow.
I just canceled it.
Canceled a 2-week vacation, including flights, accommodations, and Disney World tickets.
She canceled her trip to Disneyland? Okay, like, tariffs, trade wars, whatever. That's all like, okay. Canceling Disneyland? Now it's serious. All right, joking aside, this really does just prove to me how very seriously Canadians are taking this, which is in complete contrast, I think, to a lot of Americans. Like, this is not, this is in our news. If you're kind of politically inclined, you might talk about this in America. But as for like normal day-to-day conversation and like the whole tariff thing, it doesn't come up as much as you would think in the United States. I think because we are the ones doing it to other people. We're the aggressor, you could really say. We're the ones doing it. So it puts, I think, because we're in that position, it makes it so a lot of the American population is like, whatever, too bad for them, which is a horrible attitude to have. But canceling Disneyland, that shows me how serious this actually is. So this lady actually had a whole trip planned and then canceled it. It was to America, to Disney. And are a lot of Canadians doing this?
Thanks to insurance, she got most of her money back, but she lost about $1,300 U.S. and says she has no regrets.
Wow.
As Canadians, that we need to stick together and as unity. And I raise my children to feel the same, be proud Canadian.
Her children. Forget about Disney villains. They're going to remember this forever. They're going to be like, forget about Jafar from Aladdin or like Scar from The Lion King, or Donald Trump is the Disney villain in this story.
For Canadians, the U.S. has long been a popular destination. According to the U.S. Travel Association, visitors from Canada topped the list last year with more than 20 million visits. It warns that just a 10% dip in these trips could mean a loss of $2.1 billion.
Did they just say that as far as like travel and tourism is concerned, like Canada is the biggest like influx of people traveling into the United States? They said, hold on, I want to hear that one more time because this is like very, very important.
Topped the list last.
Hold on.
According to the U.S. Travel Association, visitors from Canada topped the list last year with more than 20 million visits. It warns that just a 10% dip in these trips could mean a loss of $2.1 billion.
I'm speechless. So this is like a real movement in Canada. Is that fair to say? Because this has not been talked about nearly enough in the United States. Like how Canadians are really not traveling to the U.S. We depend on Canada for a lot of our tourism money, apparently, which makes sense. I just didn't know the actual statistics of like who's traveling to the United States. Makes sense that it would be Canada. It's very convenient for Canadians to do, just come across the border. And if 10% of that tourism goes down, America is going to lose billions of dollars. The whole point of these tariffs, theoretically, was to have America save money or gain money and help our economy. But just the threat of tariffs is already hurting the American economy because Canadians don't want to travel here, which is the logical, conclusion, the logical outcome of making these kinds of threats at other countries. They're not going to want to associate with us. And it feels like there wasn't a lot of foresight into some of the ramifications of this tariff stuff. Because even from just an economic perspective, just objective, this is already hurting the American economy. Like before the tariffs are even in place, in a sense. Jeez.
WestJet has already seen a 25% drop for U.S. travel since Donald Trump's tariff threat.
Wow!
Come March, Air Canada will reduce its capacity for some flights south of the border. Travel agencies are adjusting too.
We've looked at our numbers and we're about 40% less over last year, 40% less bookings to the U.S. for...
I can't believe some of these stats. This needs to be shouted from the rooftops in the United States. Like seriously, like these are scary stats. If you're American like me, it's like this is getting very real very quickly. And I think for a lot of Americans, it's not real enough. That's another thing. It's like something we see in the news. It's like, oh, Trump's doing his Trump thing again. It's like, well, when our economy literally goes down, when prices of goods go up and all that, then people will probably care. But yeah, unfortunately, it takes it becoming real and actually hurting Americans for a lot of them to care. 25% decrease. This guy's saying in his airline, 40% down in ticket sales to America from Canada.
Leisure travel.
He says customers are also questioning flying with U.S. airlines at all. That's true of this Canadian couple now selling their property in California.
When we go down there to finalize the sale, we'll be flying out of Toronto on a Canadian airline. It's not necessary.
I think America kind of underestimated the resolve of Canadians in general. Like, Canadians are canceling trips to Disneyland. They're selling their properties in America. Like, there was an underestimation, a miscalculation in the Canadian pride and Canadian resolve to respond to all of this. And I think we're really starting to pay the price now.
Necessarily cheaper for us, but I'm intentionally avoiding anything I can that's going to put money in the pockets of that system, I guess.
Wow.
And even if the tariffs never materialize,
I will not go to the United States while Donald Trump is in power.
And Erica, it is not just Michelle Porter. A survey released this week found nearly half of Canadian travelers were less likely to visit the U.S.
Wow.
Okay. Of course, Magda, this is part of a broader movement among Canadians.
Yeah, from choosing Canadian groceries to pouring California wine down the drain to booing the American national anthem. Since Trump announced that 25%.
What's happening? I feel like I'm really behind in a lot of this stuff. Thank goodness I'm looking at this. From what I can tell, just based on this video alone, the level of boycotting of America is far and beyond what I was aware of. And I think I'm pretty, like, I say it in my intro into all my videos, I'm pretty typical. I'm pretty average, I don't have my eyes glued to the news. Like I open social media sometimes. If there's some news on in the background, I hear it. I don't go out of my way. So really, if some kind of news gets to me, that's pretty representative of just, I think, kind of a typical person in America. So the fact that I haven't heard a lot of this stuff, I think, kind of tells you a lot of Americans aren't aware of this either. So this is another video. Canadians clap back at American neighbors over tariffs. Yes, Canadians are clapping back in a really big way, apparently.
Consider it the Canadian way, venting frustration with humor at this New York pharmacy, replacing American snacks with Canadian favorites.
Okay, so there's a boycott of American, not just travel, but goods. Is that right? At least you got Sour Patch Kids. Is that Canadian? At least you got Sour Patch Kids. It's like, now I'm just racking my brain over, like, I'm not aware of what brands are American or Canadian or what. I think they had Canadian Canada Water, or what, that's got to be Canadian. Sour Patch Kids. Okay.
For Toronto comedian Arsalan Shirazi, it's not all a joke.
I think there's an element of people saying, like, hey, we're not going to just let you push us around because we have to stand up for ourselves. We have to push back.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. And it's like, as an American, I can have American pride. And I am happy to be American and live in America. I have to say, I'm not happy about everything that we do, of course. But as an American who's grown up in America, I've had a good life and I've been happy so I'm thankful for that, if that makes any sense. But I can totally understand Canadians having Canadian pride. That just makes sense. So I don't even think, as Americans, that we can be upset about this response. How can you be upset about this if Canadians are just, you are, if you're Canadian out there, born in Canada or immigrated to Canada or whatever, you consider yourself Canadian, of course you're going to have Canadian pride, and this whole situation is going to upset you, and you're going to do something about it. If you do something, of course, it's not... No American should be, like, baffled by this response. I'm shocked just because I'm hearing a lot of this for the first time. I'm shocked to hear it, and I'm sad to hear it. But it's not like I'm mad or like I don't get it. I totally get it.
That fury spilling out into the open at NHL and NBA games, with the U.S. national anthem loudly jeered. Meaning a country that famously prides itself on being polite feels deeply slighted.
What? Whoa! This is getting... I keep saying this is getting real. Like, jeering? Like, booing? Like, booing the American national anthem? I did a video a while back of... it was a hockey game, and the American national anthem was playing, and the microphone went out. And the Canadians in the stadium started singing the American national anthem to help so that it could be finished. And that was a beautiful video. And to go from that to this, where Canadians are booing the American national anthem, isn't that just a perfect sort of I don't know. Isn't that just so representative of kind of where we were and where we're at now? That's, man, that's a bit depressing.
National anthem loudly jeered, meaning a country that famously prides itself on being polite feels deeply slighted.
Yeah.
People are disappointed, and obviously it's ramped up to a point that we haven't seen maybe ever.
Just ask any Canadian outside Toronto's U.S. consulate. You'll get an earful of patriotism mixed with anger.
Well, I'm pissed. I think it's the wrong way to do it.
Yeah.
It's our closest ally. It's ridiculous, actually.
Yeah. That's kind of like, that's a good example of this. I really like checking out these videos because I get to actually see like video of real Canadians talking about this. I've also read a lot of the comments on some of my videos, and so I've gotten a little a taste, a pretty good representation of Canadians who have left comments voicing their opinions on a lot of this stuff. But this is helpful as well. I get it. I'm really, as an American living in America, I feel like I'm pretty privileged to get this this perspective. Really eye-opening. I'm grateful for that.
Plaque thanking Canadians for their support after 9/11 is a reminder of how close the relationship between the two countries has been, but historians can name other low points like this. The Star-Spangled Banner booed in Montreal in 2003 as the U.S. pressured allies to join the invasion of Iraq. Canada memorably declined, exposing cracks in what had been a mostly stable relationship since Confederation.
That sparked a kind of emotional response that we're seeing similar to today, where a lot of Canadians are like, hey, stop bullying us, stop trying to kind of push your views on us.
Yeah.
He points to this Guess Who classic. Written as a protest song and released amid strong anti-American sentiment in Canada over the Vietnam War.
I've heard this song before. I never thought about what it was actually saying. Is he saying, American woman, stay away from me? I never thought about what the lyrics actually were, because I like that song. It's really catchy.
There's always been this undercurrent of kind of conflict and cooperation that's been going on. And Canadians have had to deal with the United States in a way that most other countries do not.
True. That's a really good point as well. Just because of our close geographical proximity to each other and our trade relationship with each other, Canada really, for lack of a better word, Canada really does have to deal with us. And that's just become so apparent in the last few months, ever since this whole tariff thing started.
This time, the patriotism is erupting with calls to buy Canadian, and the Maple Leafs seen on social media a lot more than usual.
I think that comes alongside a bit of an anti-American sentiment, a frustration that our closest neighbor and trading partner has decided to treat us this way.
Yeah. So Canadians are, let me get this straight. There's clearly a boycott. I don't know how national it is across Canada. It sounds pretty darn big. But a lot of Canadians are not wanting to travel to the United States and not even wanting to purchase American-made products, which is not only a protest and a boycott, but it also might just be kind of, unfortunately, if the tariffs do get put in place, it will make sense for Canadians to purchase Canadian goods as well. So it's already like you're getting a jump start on that.
Canada, our home and native.
In a new twist Monday night, Nashville hockey fans booed "O Canada." So while the trade war may be on pause, tensions still simmer.
I didn't know about that. In Nashville, we're booing the Canadian. We're booing Canada? We're the ones who did it. What? We're the ones who started it. We did it. We're doing the thing. And we're booing what? None of it makes sense. Jeez. That was a clip to end on. Wow. That's crazy. Whole situation's a bit crazy. yeah, I've just been kind of processing it slowly as it's been happening. I'm pretty sure at this time we're still waiting for the 30 days to be up. There was a 30-day pause on the tariffs. I think that's like about halfway done by now. So we shall see. Is that is that just the way to end it? We're gonna see. We are gonna see. Yeah, the whole situation definitely makes me sad. The Canadian response is, I don't know, in a way I find it kind of like inspiring in a backwards kind of way, because it's weird for me because it's Canada boycotting America, which is me. But in another sense, I'm like, you know what? I get it, and it's, part of me is like, yeah, Canadians having Canadian pride and fighting for Canada, and I've no problem seeing that, and I totally get it, and I hope somehow this whole situation, I don't know how it's going to resolve itself. I was about to say, like, I hope this all ends up good, but how is this going to end up? I don't know. I think we're all kind of waiting. And who knows? No matter what happens at this point, who knows what this means for the Canada-America relationship? Because the damage is already done, unfortunately. So we'll see. Anyway, if you enjoyed this, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment. If you're Canadian, this affects you. I'm sure you must have an opinion on all this, or what are you doing in response to America's tariff threats? Or that'd be really interesting to hear about from Canadians out there. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Canada and learning about Canadian culture, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.